mean, it was good. Obviously hitting it and, you know, seeing it perform was very impressive. I'm definitely going to do some testing with it. You know, I'll use it as like my, you know, a driving iron.
That was Dustin Johnson telling us all about the TaylorMade M3 irons. We caught up with him at TaylorMade's launch event in California. We've been learning all about the technology in these M3 irons, which are actually replacing the M1 irons, so they're the sort of slightly sleeker version of those two M irons. But you know, what's the new technology? What's the thought process behind the design? Well, we've caught up with Tomo Bicestead, who is their main man when it comes to irons. Let's go over to see what he had to say at the launch event. He can give us everything we need to know about TaylorMade M3 irons.
The M3 is a really cool project for me and the team because we try to solve this formula with better players, you know, and it's been an ongoing battle, I think, in terms of finding the right compromise between distance and good feel and the shaping and size. And if you make it too small, it maybe intimidates people. If you make it go too far, the better player might not like it. If you make it not feel good enough, then again, you're going to turn off some people. So this finding the right balance, and you've seen us make clubs like the RSI 2s and the PSIs and Tour Preferred CBs in the past, and Rocket Blades Tour irons, and all these irons that have had sort of a mixture of speed and that player's look at a dress, I think is kind of been a little bit the holy grail. And I think we've really had a beautiful kind of meeting of the technology and the shaping here with the M3 in terms of having a technology now that gets our sound and feel to the level that this player expects without having to sacrifice on the performance side. We definitely heard as feedback from customers was the difference between the M2 and the M1 wasn't as much as they'd like to see. And we've actually made, for that reason, we really made this into more of a player's shape, being very careful not to sacrifice any performance in terms of forgiveness and obviously ball speed as well. Pricing wise, again, just to remind you guys, one of the things that we've done to bring the irons a little bit more competitively in the marketplace is to bring the pricing closer as well. So last year there was a $200 difference in the M2 and M1. And going to next year, we're going to be only a $100 difference. So now it's going to be more on what is the player preference as opposed to maybe a price difference in terms of the decision path for the consumer.
Okay, some really cool stuff there from Tomo. Yeah, he's really one of the sort of key sort of like design brains behind a lot of the TaylorMade irons. But we also caught up with Brian Basil. You may remember he used to be TaylorMade's head of metalwoods. He's now their vice president of product creation. He kind of oversees all the new products, you know, really interesting, well-respected guy in the industry. And we wanted to get some details from him as well about what's been done in the M3 irons and how they've improved them from the previous M1.
In the M3 iron, the single biggest breakthrough with that iron and similar to M4 is what we call rib core. And so it was really made possible from face slots. You know, over the years we've created distance irons, you know, better and better. We create distance and height and created a little bit more accuracy based on in ball speed protection with face slots. But what we didn't have was something to stabilize the head for sound, feel, and control distance up high on the face. So rib cores allowed us to do that. 2 ribs right on the outside of the face slots, stabilizes the head, creates higher inertia, and that's in M3 and in M4. What's unique about the M3 is this combination of a little bit more of a player's club, all the horsepower of M4, but in a smaller package. We're able to do that through shaping, through tungsten weight, which is in the low part of the sole and the toe, and then throughout all the other technologies like speed pocket, face slots, and ultimately rib core.
Well, seeing as world number 1 Dustin Johnson was there at the launch event, we thought it'd be rude not to ask him what his thoughts were on the M3 irons. Not sure we're going to see him putting them into play as a full set. You never know, we might stick a long iron in the bag because he can actually hit a 4 iron further than I can hit a driver. So let's go and see what Dustin Johnson had to say at the launch event about the M3 irons and whether he's a fan or not.
Talk a little bit about the sound and feel that the impact.
I mean, it's really, the sound's really good. Yeah. The feel of it's really solid feeling. So, you know, sometimes you get the bigger heads, they don't feel that great, but this one's got a really good sound, and you know, it feels really good when you hit one.
Yeah, and really, I mean, that's obviously the ribcore technology. You know, in the past we've tested with things like M2s, and I think that's your first comment was always on sound.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, it felt a little hollow, not as solid.
Because, well, my thing was you couldn't, even when you hit one in the middle, it didn't feel that great. Like this one, you hit one in the center and it feels really good.
Yeah.
You get the feedback.
Okay, so we haven't really had much time to do any in-depth testing with the M3 irons yet. We've tested out the M4 irons in a lot of detail. Go and check our video out on our website or YouTube channel, see what we made of those. But we will bring some, some launch monitor numbers to you from some of our M3 testing. How does it compare to the M1? How does it compare to the M4? What sort of differences are there? So stay tuned for those videos. But in the meantime, just give us your first impressions on these M3 irons. Do you like the look? Are they still a little bit too chunky for you? Just post your comments below and let us know what you think. We think they look great, and we're pretty certain that they're going to perform pretty good as well. So thanks very much for watching. Post your comments below, and we'll see you again soon.